Today on Behind the Strength, we're joined by Dr. Anjali Chhabria, psychiatrist, psychotherapist, TEDx speaker, and founder of Mind Temple Clinic. With over 25 years of experience, she's been a pioneer in mental health advocacy in India, known for blending traditional methods with cutting-edge technologies and therapies for breaking the stigma around suicide. Through her powerful book, Death is Not the Answer, let's explore the story behind her strength and the movement she continues to lead. Welcome to Behind the Strength, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Priya.
Doctor, what inspired you to pursue psychiatry, especially at a time when mental health was not widely spoken about?
So, I remember when I was doing medicine, and it's actually very interesting why I became a doctor. So, I come from a community where, girls were married off at 18. Okay, so I was like, I don't want to be married. So, what can I do? Okay, so I said, okay, I want to become a doctor because that would give me 5 years of education. Now, as I was going through medicine, I realized that I was not interested in doing surgery. What do I want to do? Okay, and then I had an internship in the psychiatry ward. We used to get like a 10-day internship, and I went there and I said, yes, this is what I want to do. I was always interested in mental health. I always, since a young age, questioned why people behaved differently from each other. Okay, in fact, my earliest experience of seeing a patient was probably when I was 6 or 7 years old. Okay, there was somebody in our building, okay, who used to behave differently, and all the kids would make fun of him, and I would just feel sorry for him. Okay, and then when I did this, internship or exposure, it all just made sense.
The empathy was there from day one.
Yes, yeah. Empathy was there. In fact, my siblings would use me to return library books which had kind of, we had forgotten to return.
Right.
Okay, so then, I had a way with people. So somewhere it all started fitting in because I realized that yes, I could understand human behavior a little better than what other people could do. And then when you find the medicine, the reasons and the solutions, okay, it's like a puzzle that kind of fits in. Okay, now of course the next stage was to convince people around me that this is what I wanted to do. Okay, so when I spoke to my parents about post-graduation, now at that age, at that time, I'm talking about 1980s, if you were to become a postgraduate, first of all, तुमसे कोई शादी नहीं करेगा.
Okay. Social stigmas.
And what are you going to do? Who's going to come to you? You look so tiny. Okay, I was probably 10 kilos lighter. And how will you control a violent patient? So those were the perceptions of psychiatry, of mental health at that time. And I remember telling my parents, please, I really want to do this. And thankfully they were like, cool, go ahead.
That encouragement mattered, of course.
Absolutely. And the same people who used to kind of say, what are you going to do? Who's going to come to you? Okay, are the same people today who say, what you've chosen was very smart. Because everybody needs help these days.
Absolutely. In fact, I think it's so rampant now that I think every second person today might need some sort of help, if not the full length, but of course a little bit of hand-holding through the process of life, probably.
Absolutely.
Yes. You were a president of the Bombay Psychiatric Society. What did that milestone mean to you?
Well, I think, the psychiatry community is very small. Okay, there are maybe around 10,000 psychiatrists for the whole country of India.
Is that so?
Okay. So, and you can imagine even then, I'm talking about now 20 years ago, the number were even lesser. Okay, and one of the biggest problems that we were all dealing with was trying to eradicate the stigma and to communicate with the world. Okay, what psychiatry, what mental health issues are about, that they are real. People are not imagining it. So when this opportunity came up, okay, it was just one more way for me to communicate with people around to make mental health issues a little simpler, so that people could understand what we are trying to say and not complicate it.
Right, it's always a complication that creates the twist otherwise, and they don't
Absolutely.
approach anything for any sort of cure.
Okay. So this just gave me, maybe some more ways to reach out to the public, via Rotary, Lions, radio, TV, media,
Yes.
you know, to kind of simplify the process so that we have more and more people approaching us. Because other people thought psychiatrists were these funny people,
Yeah.
okay, who only gave medicines and who only took people and started giving them shocks.
Oh yes, that was what was
That was
very
the perception.
yes, it was shown also in that
Yes.
in that light. So
In some
probably
movies.
yes. So it has
You know.
been, but it has changed so much.
Yes, and we've been trying to do that via different, media, via different people. In fact, you're talking about when I was the president, I had a conference which was called as Spirituality and Mental Health.
Okay.
Where we worked with different organizations, say Art of Living, satsang groups, and many more.
Of course.
Okay, because those are that is where the people were going.
Right.
Even today, so instead of saying that no, we are on one side and you're on another side, I said let's come together because our aim is to help people suffer less,
That's correct.
so that was just one of the things
It was
that we did.
It's actually something very interesting that you're talking about. It's also spiritual healing
Right.
and healing the psyche at the same time with modern medicine or modern therapy.
Yes.
And
So it goes hand in hand.
absolutely yes.
And
That-
there are different ways because these are the groups. The spiritual groups give a lot of support, emotional support. When you
Absolutely.
know that 20 people are chanting for your well-being, it just makes you feel supported.
Absolutely. Positive on all ends.
Absolutely.
What was your vision when you started the Mind Temple? How has it evolved over time?
You know what? When I started my journey, I didn't want to be alone. I wanted different people to join hands. Okay, and at Mind Temple, that's what we try and do. We use hypnosis where it is required, and we use the modern day treatments where it is required, and we are a group of different mental health professionals who work together. Okay, so we have people dealing with young kids, young mothers, and we also have senior citizen groups. So we have group sessions for single people who have become single again.
Board groups?
Okay, so we are trying to create a network where people can come, feel comfortable, feel comforted, and also meet other people who are going through the same journey.
Yes, of course.
And yes, the mental health professionals are there and they're talking to each other. So it's not that I give you a medicine and I say, okay, I'll see you after a month. Along with the medicine, you will get a counselor. You will have someone to connect with in case you're not feeling good, because there's still a stigma about taking medication, so even your chemist has an opinion. कि आप क्यों ये दवाई खा रहे हो? So what happens is when you have that support network, when you come to Mind Temple, the first thing is you feel comfortable, and if you feel that this place is not so scary, how I envisioned going to a psychiatrist.
But in fact, Mind Temple is synonymous with holistic healing. The name by itself is holistic, and this entire the way of going through this entire process for I think anyone who approaches Mind Temple will be very wholesome as well.
Well, that's what we try to make it. Of
Yes.
course, people come with their own expectations. Sometimes people are suffering from serious mental health disorders and they say, no, we don't want any medication. So we give them options. Like we do something which is called as a magnetic treatment. Okay, which was launched in the world in 2009, 2010 we started doing it. And when you asked me my vision was that whatever is happening in the mental health space needs to happen at Mind Temple so that people don't need to go elsewhere. Because anywhere, I see people struggling,
So
in
many
this
sources
space.
otherwise.
Yeah, and sometimes they have taken so much medication and not felt good.
Yes.
Okay.
It's scattered.
So because of that, it's important to help people be the best versions of themselves.
Absolutely.
So that's what we strive to do with anybody who comes to us.
That's amazing. What's your hope for the future of mental health care in India?
See, definitely we are just, at the tip of the iceberg. Okay, there are a lot of issues, and we want, ideally, I would like a mental health minister in every state
That is
who is understanding. I want the government to work how we worked through COVID.
true.
Because there is, once one suicide happening every 8 minutes. Okay, now that is an extreme step. Okay, but at the same time, there are so many people who are suffering silently. You know, parents need guidance, people need guidance, teachers need guidance, so many different issues. Our youth, we have a huge population of youth, but until and unless they are not helped, where their mental health is concerned, a lot of them are suffering and do not even know what to do next.
It's the need of the hour. Absolutely the
So
need.
we need to work at different levels. When we started working, there were no counselors in schools. Now, thankfully,
Yes.
there are counselors in schools. But again, we are talking about maybe a Mumbai or a Delhi or a big city. What happens in the smaller cities? So many mothers today have postpartum disorders. Okay,
Right.
it is my endeavor. I tell all my colleagues, the other branches of medicines, that why don't you just have a counselor sitting in your office
That
who
would be
is
very helpful.
assessing the mental health of people when they're coming to you and when they're waiting for you. Because today you need a good mental health space. If you're a diabetic and you need to take your medication every day, today if I am someone who's silently depressed, what will I do? I'll say, forget it, now let my blood sugar rise, I'll die.
That's actually very
Right?
true. Yes.
So in every step, we need to assess the mental health of a person, because what happens is mental health and physical health are not two separate compartments.
I think it's the mind that creates everything. The source of everything is your thought.
Exactly. The software controls the hardware.
Exactly, yes,
You know.
absolutely. In fact, I've seen people healing because their mind has been stronger than
Look
their
at
bodies.
cancer treatments. You have a positive mind.
True.
Okay, you're going to do whatever you're supposed to do.
That's
You'll
right.
be positive and you'll heal.
That's true.
But-
Absolutely.
If you're suffering with a mental health disorder, then that's not going to help you.
But in fact, even in cancer care or other serious conditions that a person goes through, it's very important for a mental health professional to
Yes.
handhold their way through, or given
Yes.
that option or opportunity to even, visit them or get any access to them. It is very
Yes.
essential, as you said, that it
Yes.
is something which is at the root cause of so many conditions today.
Yeah. And I think once, people start understanding it, and, the medical professional understands it better, I think that is what I would want the future. I mean, I would want counselors everywhere.
No, but it's right that they are, I think, important, if not more or less, but they are as important.
Right. Yeah.
So yes. What are some of the early signs that one should look at when you feel that someone is struggling?
So the first thing that we see is sleep gets impaired. Okay, whenever you're stressed about anything, you'll find it difficult to go to sleep, or you'll want to sleep more. So especially in teenagers, you see that they spend a lot of time in bed, and then they are awake at night. So the sleep schedule gets messed up. Okay, the appetite gets messed up. Okay, and then mood issues come up. A person becomes irritable, a person gets angry for no rhyme or reason. Today we see people are all the time on their phones, scrolling endlessly, which is really adding to their mental health issues. So some of the initial signs are these: when you are, or your sleep, your appetite, your mood is getting disturbed. Then the other thing which we see is either social withdrawal. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to get into my space. I don't want to interact with anyone. If people are younger and then your studies get impacted, you may not want to go to work. You may not be able to do your regular work. So what we call the socio and the occupational issues. So socially, I don't want to be a part. I start feeling too sensitive. I feel, oh, those guys are talking about me. Nobody likes me. Oh, what will people think? So I'm too conscious. And the more socially withdrawn you get, the more you look at your gadget.
True.
The more you look at your gadget, the more you feel that everybody else's life is so good and my life is.
It just goes on in a cycle.
Yes,
Doesn't
yes.
it? It's a loop.
Yes.
How do different generations respond to therapy? As
Oh.
you said, teenagers, everybody has a certain issue that they're dealing with at some
Right.
point.
Right.
How have you you've dealt with all, I'm sure, but how do you see everyone responding, reacting? What is their?
So I think the youngsters today are more open.
Yes, they are.
Okay, and they understand. Many a times when we go to schools for talks and all of that, I'll have a youngster telling me that, I know I have an issue, or my sibling has an issue, but my parents are in denial. What do I do? Or I have college kids who will drag their friends and come and meet me and say, we can't, we've just brought this person around along because he or she has thoughts of self-harm. How do we help them? Okay, so I think our young generation is far more open
And aware.
and aware because they're getting a lot of information also. I run a group for senior citizens, okay, which has around 300 plus members, and we have that group going on for the last, I think, 18 or 19 years. And what we thought was that they will be difficult to crack, but actually they are very open, So I remember this 70 plus couple who had come to me for counseling, and they said, we've ruined our lives by fighting with each other. Can you help us? Okay, and they actually came for marriage counseling. And I had to kind of, like the wife would complain that, he just expects me to give him food, but he'll never appreciate,
Oh
such
my
small issues.
Yes.
But they worked on it,
That's
So I
nice.
think many a times, and at the same time, I may have an educated, so-called
Mm.
educated, somebody who is absolutely in the limelight, in denial, saying, how can I have depression? I will not take medication,
Yeah.
So
How do you crack that in case you have to?
it's very difficult because what happens is these people have lakhs of followers and they think they're God's gift to mankind.
They're living in their bubble.
They're living in their bubble. So you have to really work hard with them to help them understand, because according to them the fault is everybody else's and not mine.
Blame displacement immediately.
Absolutely. So it becomes difficult, and sometimes marriages break because of this denial, but actually they are undergoing a mental health issue, and if they had to take a simple medication, and the problem is they will not take medication from me, but they will go and take 10 different tablets because, no, you're giving me a medicine. I don't want to be blamed.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't want that stigma coming. So it's very, very tough at times,
Absolutely.
because, especially, of course, I have a lot of that population coming to me.
Yes.
So it is difficult, it is tough to navigate. But of course, there are a lot of success stories.
But
too.
isn't it it's like walking on eggshells when you're around such personality.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be like, I'm walking on an eggshell around this person. I've got to be very careful in how I'm going to go through, how I'm going to approach this. Is there a particular approach that you look at when you're somebody who comes in a state of, say, denial?
Yeah, so I think the first thing what we need to do is to unconditionally accept them, which is actually the most difficult. At the same time, we have to be very, very careful with our statement, and we have to try and not judge anybody, okay? Because when you do that, then the defenses will slowly start breaking.
True.
But of course, it takes time. With some people, like I have had youngsters who come and told me, you're the 7th psychiatrist, just standing at the door, and they're saying, I'm not coming in, you're the 7th psychiatrist, my parents are just taking me here and there. And I've had to say, why don't, since you're here, let's just have a chat and see. I really want to help you, let's see if I can. We also mentor a lot of young psychiatrists.
Yes.
Okay, and one of the questions is, we have all these negative comments that
Precisely,
people have
that's
put
exactly
on Google. What do we do with them? Because what happens is that whatever information people give us is confident. So tomorrow if you go around talking badly about me, I am not even allowed to open my mouth, because what you've told me is confidential, but you can go around.
Yes. Wow, that's a lot to deal with.
It's a part of the
part of your profession. Why is public outreach through platforms like TV, TEDx,
Right.
columns important in your mission?
See, because you're dealing with human beings.
Right.
Okay, and the problem is so huge. Mental health issues are so huge, and they can impact anybody and everybody at different times of their life. So it's important to try and reach out to people through different medium, and try and see, because there may be something that will help somebody, and I've experienced that, one program which I did where I was talking about a homosexual, and that was maybe again 10-15 years ago. Okay, and I think that was on Amir Khan's that popular show, and the amount that outreach was so huge. I would have people who were struggling with their sexual identification, sexual issues, okay, in small villages, and they would reach out to me. I remember this mother and son who came to see me. You know, the mother said the mother had gone on a bhukh hartal that I want my son to get married. That boy was like, please explain to my mother, you know, that I am homosexual and I don't want to ruin somebody's life.
Absolutely, that is a struggle. That is a struggle for, I think, even the person and the relatives, because there is still so much disparity in understanding.
Exactly. Or I had a doctor who read my book, okay, in some village in India and brought his son for treatment, okay, and today his son is doing very well. So you feel that whatever efforts you make, if they can reach out to people and help somebody,
Absolutely,
that's
that is
what
your
we try to do.
Yes, that is the reason for your piece at the end of the day, I guess.
Yes. Or even my TEDx talk on preventing suicide. I think even I was a little surprised by the outreach that it had. Even today, I get people, reaching out because they've heard that talk.
Absolutely, these are the platforms that can reach so many
Absolutely. Yes.
millions of
Yes.
people, and if they can come back to you with their problems, I think you've done.
Yeah,
It's
I
done
tell
justice.
Them, I tell them you don't need to come back to me. You can go and meet
Approach,
any mental
yes,
health
of course,
professional.
absolutely, yes.
But this could be a mental health disorder. 15% of India today has obsessive compulsive disorder. A huge number. People do not even know that these are obsessions. They live with them and they suffer.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions that people still have about therapy?
We need to look at treatments, and therapy is a part, or it's the beginning of treatment.
Right.
So the thing is, a lot of misconception as yet. Okay, the first thing is only if I'm crazy I need therapy. Second is if I take treatment I'm going to be labeled and everybody else is going to point out fingers to me. Third is that the medication part of it, which is a very important thing. Today, if your hormones are imbalanced or if your circuits are not working properly, and there's a simple medicine which will help you to be better, you sleep better, eat better, and you have clarity. Why will you not take it?
Absolutely.
Okay, but no, you'll give me medicine that will make me sleep all my life. I'll have to take it.
Yes, I also think that people have this fear of dependency on something.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that the medicines which make you dependent today in India, there are studies to show that all the doctors besides psychiatrists are giving
They're
you
the
those
opposite
medicines.
end of the spectrum, yeah.
They are giving you those medicines.
Right.
You don't get sleep, you'll go to your GP. The GP will say, okay, take Restil, take Ativan.
Yeah.
I had a family where right from the 14-year-old to the 84-year-old great-grandmother, everybody in between, everyone was taking sleeping pills.
Oh my
Okay, and they didn't need to take it.
Of course not.
So your gastroenterologist will give it to you, your cardiologist will give it to you. Oh, you're stressed, take this medicine. And when I tell those doctors, I said, why are you not referring these people? No, then they'll stop coming to me also. So, there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
I think it needs to be done at the root level.
Yes.
It needs to be done at that level because the patients are probably just the tertiary party on the outer periphery of this entire profession, because they are at the receiving end. It has to be done at the root level where a lot of changes have to be put into place. No, it is a challenging effort. How do you help someone who feels hopeless to connect or reconnect with their purpose?
Right. So I think it is not only the person there, but even the people around that need to make an effort, because that person has reached there, and many a times such a person may need some amount of medication for things to get better. So if it is, say, because of depression, that one has become hopeless. Okay, now what happens in depression? Depression is like trying to drive a car in quicksand. You maybe make your efforts, but you're not reaching anywhere because you're not able to. At that time, if it is a medical problem, okay, so if you take medication, what happens is that you may start sleeping better. It's not a sleeping pill that you're taking.
Right.
Okay, you'll start sleeping better as a result of it. When you sleep better, you feel better.
Absolutely.
Okay, in depression, people feel helpless, hopeless, and worthless. Okay, these feelings start going away slowly.
It's a snowballing effect.
Yes, because otherwise, what you think is, oh my God, the entire world is looking at me. You know, how do I? Do people sense? You know, they somewhere make themselves bigger than what they are, and also smaller than who they are.
Absolutely.
You know, so with the right kind of medical treatment, okay, and support from the family members, that's when then small steps can be made.
That's correct.
You know, and people then start doing better.
What keeps you going after all these years of service?
I still love what I do. And the good thing is that every person who comes to me is different, has a different story, has had different experiences. And I look at it, they're giving me one chance. Okay, one chance to see what others have not seen, to do what others have not done. Okay. And I would like to, you know, continue to do that.
And there's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do.
There is a lot left to do.
So it's like every morning getting up and saying, okay, now let
I'm
me
sure.
see.
Of all the milestones that you've achieved and every rung that you've crossed, which is the one milestone that you're the most proud of?
Not yet.
Not yet. Great.
So much more to do. Miles
That's
to
what I'm
go.
saying. So that's what keeps you going.
Yeah, miles to go.
Absolutely. What advice would you give the young professionals in the mental health field?
See, I think first of all, we all need to work. We need to work together. Okay, we should not undermine anyone else's efforts. Okay, so today different people are trying to make people feel happier in different ways. Okay, and instead of putting down others, I think we need to work together. And yes, of course, at times we also need to clear misconception. You know, like I think once a week I pick up the phone and I will tell a colleague of mine who's in some other field who's told someone, why are you taking antidepressants? Stop the medicine. Okay, and I pick up the phone and I say, will I stop somebody's diabetes medicines? Will I stop somebody's cancer medication? So please do not interfere. Mental health is as important as physical health, you know, because if you're not feeling good today, you know, you will want to take the extreme step.
True. Very
And
true.
people today are at a danger from themselves more than anything else.
That is true. The mind can play havoc if it's just unleashed
Absolutely.
or just
Yes.
left
Yes.
unchecked at times.
Yes, and also what happens is people don't understand that when you are not feeling good, you know, you will stop my medication, but the person is going out, drinking alcohol, taking substances which are damaging them more. So, of course,
In fact, most of these addictions or something,
yes,
it does stem from
a lack
a
of
lack
something.
of something.
Exactly.
So that has to be balanced with either
Yes.
medication or counseling or whatever is going to help.
Yes. 40% of all disorders start before the age of 14.
Oh my God,
So,
that early.
yes. So if I was a mental health minister, I would go to all schools and check all kids by the time they were 14.
Yes,
Start
these are your formative
identifying.
years.
Yes. Start identifying and see what is going to help you.
Can you explain what emotional hygiene is?
Right. So, you know, this concept came up because what happens is we see a lot of people today not doing some bare essential things. Okay, like for example, emotional hygiene starts with first being aware of your own emotions. Okay, what am I feeling? Okay, and being aware. And awareness is 50% of the battle won.
True.
Okay, so if we have to somewhere take care of ourselves, like just as we have dental hygiene. Okay, we wake up in the morning and brush our teeth, which people do without even thinking.
True.
Right? So emotional hygiene means that first of all being aware of your emotions. Two is realizing when you're getting stressed. So if I feel I'm getting stressed, what do? I reach out to 3 people. Why do I reach out to 3 people? Because I may call you and you will be busy. So I reach out to her, I reach out to him. Okay, and talk about what is bothering me.
True. That's right.
Okay, when I talk about what is bothering me to somebody who's very close, okay, they give me their perspective. Okay, and we talk to people who are our true friends who can tell us where we are going wrong. Okay, so not that, you know, I'm God's gift to mankind and all I say is right. So when you talk and you share, okay, you realize what is another perspective. So you're kind of opening up. Okay. The third thing is that realizing what you may be doing. For example, I start overeating, I start binge watching, something on television. I'm not sleeping, I'm drinking alcohol, I'm taking substances. Okay, now this I'm doing a disservice. I'm already going from stress to distress. Right? So when you're aware of that and you're avoiding something that can pull you down, so that is taking care of your emotions. Okay, if you feel that yes, I'm going that way, reach out to a mental health professional.
Absolutely.
Talk to them and understand what is it that is happening.
Because there is a reason,
Exactly.
and that's what you're going to be
Yes.
addressing at the end of the day.
Yes.
You use both traditional techniques and new
Yeah.
age therapies like RTMS.
Yes.
What made you take this integrative approach?
So it's not, one shirt does not fit all.
Right.
Each human being is different, and with somebody once something will work, with someone else something else works. Okay, so ever since I started Mind Temple, I was like, every year we need to have one more treatment. So I went and trained for hypnosis. I went and trained with Dr. Brian Weiss.
Oh, you did.
Yes, yes. So I do past life regression therapy as well.
Amazing.
At the same time, I'm always looking out for what are the newer treatments which we can do, because somewhere I also want treatment in India to be at the top of what's happening in the world.
That's highly integrative. I
You
was
know.
not aware of that. And of course, you're talking about Dr. Brian Weiss. He's renowned.
Yes. And he's a psychiatrist who's using past life
Absolutely, yes.
therapy. So I was like, why is he using it? So, I think I have this little Gida.
Yes, absolutely. But that really helps because that's the only way you're going to explore new territories which are
Absolutely.
going to lead to some results. What would you say to someone listening to you right now who's silently struggling but afraid to ask for help?
So the first thing I would say is that you're unnecessarily you're suffering. Because if you have a fever today, what would you do? You'll just pop in a paracetamol,
And move on.
right, and move on. Okay, so sometimes the solution is so easy, So get out of that shell.
Right.
Okay, don't give yourself so much importance thinking you're the only one suffering from it.
Yes.
Okay, there are so many suffering, and just make the first step and reach out to maybe some of your friends. Share with them, and sometimes two heads are better than one. You don't need to suffer when the treatment is so easy.
What is the strength behind Dr. Anjali Chhabria? A very important question because all of us have our journeys. We've all taken either complex ones, simple ones. What is the strength that keeps you going, or what has been
I think
your
I'm
strength?
I think I'm just blessed. I have a lot of people who love me.
That is your strength. That's the most important
Family,
strength, isn't it?
Family.
Family, yes.
Yeah.
So lovely to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Doctor,
Thank you so
it's
much.
been so helpful, and your journey, your wisdom, it's going to enlighten so many, and I'm sure it's made the field of psychiatry a little more approachable right now, and I'm hoping that a lot of more people come out of their shell and approach the
Yes.
right help. All due to you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
Thank you.